The Third Door by Alex Banayan. The author of this book said that success is like a nightclub. There are always three ways in. There's the first door where the line basically never ends and 99% of people wait forever to get in and never get in. There's the second door where people, like celebrities and those born into wealth and prosperity, that's how they get through. And then there's the third door. And the third door is where I think you know where I'm going with this. But there's always a third door that anyone can get through by doing what no one else is doing. Banayan begins with a story where he realized that a college degree isn't all that's cracked up to be, or it wasn't for him. So he needed some inspiration. He looked at a book about Bill Gates, and he just basically thought to himself, how did he climb Mount Everest? Bill Gates didn't actually climb Mount Everest, but maybe he did. I didn't hear about Bill Gates climbing Mount Everest at any point, did you? But what were his first few steps, and where did he take them? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up. It should just be mainstream knowledge. If you agree, then please make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. There are 5 steps in this, 5 steps to, getting through to that third door. In this video, I'm going to go over each one. I'm going to talk about, the chapters, what I thought of them, if anything surprised me, if there was anything in particular that I liked or disliked, as well as some standout quotes from the book, who I recommend the book to, and what books to maybe check out next. Step 1 is ditch the line. Obviously, you do not have to be part of the line, the first line, because the first door, no one who actually gets into the club, unless they're someone who could get into the second door, actually gets into the club. This part described the author's decision not to be part of the line, and what led him to that point. Banayan, and I've never heard this before in an audiobook, and I've reviewed, I don't even know, almost 300 now on this channel. I've never even thought this before about an audiobook. His narration at some times can almost sound a little overly enthusiastic, but it's not too often. It's not enough that in 2 chapters into the audiobook, I was like, all right, screw this. I've been told the same thing in some of my past videos. I definitely understand. And I've been told, lay off the Coke, stop drinking so much Red Bull. So I think I get it. Also, his enthusiasm, maybe not just his enthusiasm, but that introduced him to people like Steven Spielberg and Tim Ferriss. A lot of other people, by the way, some super mega famous. And in this book, it almost seems to happen so quickly that I'm sure it didn't happen that quickly. It almost sounds like you'll meet with these people too, with the right intention. If you fail enough along the way and you are still enthusiastic about it and you care enough about that intention where even the dumbest decisions seem smart, it's hard to explain. I feel like I'm probably not doing it the most justice. Step 2 is run down the alley. This guy wanted to interview a long list of the most successful people in a bunch of different fields. Ferriss gives him this golden advice on email writing. So I'm gonna hand it down to you guys just because writing emails is it's a really, really valuable skill. When you write an email asking for something from a busy person, say, "Dear blank, I'm sure you're really busy and get a lot of emails, so this will only take 30 seconds to read. Here's where you say who you are, add 1 or 2 lines to establish credibility. Here's where you ask your very specific question. I totally understand if you're too busy to respond, but even a 1 or 2 line reply would really make my day." He used this template to get a hold of so many people, but those aren't the people who he really needed to get to. What was this guy trying, what was Banayan even trying to do anyway? He was trying to interview a list of the most successful people he could find in every calling. Lady Gaga was on there, I think Warren Buffett, and also Bill Gates. He and some friends wanted to see if they could start a university to change the way that their generation thinks. Who would be the professors and in what classes? And that question is kind of what formed the list. Step 3 is find your inside man. It makes sense going through that third door to not just rely on one connection, but when you do have one who takes the cake, you have to rely on helping that person as much as you possibly can. At least that's what it seems this author was able to do. There are certain moments in the book, by the way, where this guy's writing style, might I add, really shines. Driving farther, I turned the corner, pulled into a long driveway, and that's when I saw it. A massive mansion-sized log cabin. It sat beside a glistening lake backdropped by thick evergreen trees and a towering mountain range. The front lawn was the size of a football field. This was Elliot's house. Here's another part that stood out. I made my way to the kitchen and was overcome by aromas so tantalizing they made me never want to set foot again in my college dining hall. 3 private chefs were setting out overflowing trays of scrambled eggs, fried eggs, poached eggs, sizzling bacon, stacks of fluffy blueberry pancakes, rows of caramel French toast, giant bowls of chia pudding, berry parfait, and smashed avocado drizzled with olive oil and Himalayan salt. There was a long counter covered in mounds of bagels and breads and frosted homemade cinnamon rolls, a whole other counter with freshly cut fruits and vegetables that were grown on the farm next door. Hello, Eden. That's like the name, I think the name of the city or area where this all took place. May as well have been the garden itself of Eden. Step 4 is called Trudge Through the Mud. Something else about the book that struck me is how hard it is to get interviews with people like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, or even ask them a question. Sometimes even when you ask a question, how hard it is, no matter how well planned the question itself is or how you ask it, how hard it can be to actually get an answer from them. And you also learn about interviewing. For example, the part where the author got in touch with Larry King, and you learn about how great interviews don't happen when the interviewer has all these questions that were planned ahead of time. They were pre-written, specific questions. They happen when the interviewer is most comfortable in his or her seat, because that is when the interviewee is most comfortable. And that's where they're more likely to say things on topics that they wouldn't normally speak of. There's so much more to this part than what I initially described, especially about like persistence and the hidden reservoir and kissing every frog, what they call it. Thinking outside the box in terms of follow-up, but this to me was the biggest takeaway. And the 5th step is taking the third door. The author also ended up interviewing Steve Wozniak. Pitbull, the story about Pitbull's like drug dealing, it was genius and insane at the same time. Never keeping anything on him, but telling people where to, like whose locker to find the drugs in when he made a sale. Brilliant. And then Jane Goodall, because at some point he realized the whole time he was interviewing men, he spoke to his sisters about it, and then they convinced him to further, not just do that. He ended up interviewing Maya Angelou and Jessica Alba. Some of the people he interviewed at the time, I think they might actually not be alive anymore. I really, really liked the interview with Alba. It's really sick, like what some of these people said and like the different perspectives they offered on success and how they attained it. It's really different from what you would think given books like Rise and Grind by Damon John or The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes, or really even his podcast, although his podcast is amazing. This book is just like knock it out of the park. It's something else, I'll put it that way. But the last part, it seems, is just a bunch of insightful interviews. Jessica Alba said about her company, "I feel like as technology gets better and we can save more lives, the things that are killing us are getting more extreme. Toxins, the pollution. I think that's why we struck a chord." The acknowledgements were probably some of the most touching that I have ever heard, and I could hear it in his voice. It definitely wasn't easy for the author to record, let alone write about his reflections of his dad's passing. I think I got goosebumps once or twice actually, which is, I'll say this, it's pretty rare. Quotes. "It was almost as if he knew what I was really doing and he was laughing less at what I said than why I said it. Luck is like a bus. If you miss one, you'll catch the next one, but if you're not prepared, you won't be able to jump on. The more digital the world gets, the more impressive it is to use a pen. If I gave you the map Lewis and Clark made, it would be pretty easy to get from here to the West Coast. That's why everybody remembers the names Lewis and Clark, and nobody remembers who read their map and took the trip the second time. To attract money, you should deserve money, and you should develop a track record over time that doesn't. Desperation clogs intuition." Something reflecting on something Bill Gates told him, "It's better to make a fair deal today that sets you up for more deals down the road than a great deal that doesn't set you up for anything." That was her key to ascending her second mountaintop, to first go back down to her deepest valley. Direction 1. I recommend this book for anyone who's looking for an outside of the box way to reach influencers. Direction 2. If you like this book, I really think you'd like, what was it called? Built to Serve by Evan Carmichael. The Third Door by Alex Banayan. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, 'cause I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe, but if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.